Hey guys, my name is Dan, and I'm not a YouTuber. I'm actually an inventor, and I felt compelled to make this video today after searching YouTube for videos on information just regarding bringing a product to market, the patenting process, prototyping, etc. And what I found was a lot of videos that promised good information, but were really just fronts for people trying to sell services to inventors. So I thought I would try my hand at disseminating some of the information I've learned. I've been working on my product for 3.5 years or so now. I'm getting ready to go to market with it. But I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot of valuable lessons along the way. And I thought I would try sharing some of them with you while also not trying to sell you something. So a little about me. I don't want to get too much into my product and what it is, because again, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but we'll suffice it to say it's a household product. It's a very low-tech storage device that I currently have 4 patents on, and I am in daily discussions with an engineer and a factory overseas to bring it into production. It's pretty exciting stuff, and I've built up some data that's kind of let me know that I think people are interested in it and whatnot. I don't have a ton of business acumen, but I did start a business with my family in 2010. We ran that until 2016. It did okay. By day, I'm actually a lineman for the power company, and I just caught a real strong entrepreneurial streak after we ran that family business. And once it ended, I was looking for something, and I walked out into my garage one day, and I had this idea. And I've been pursuing it ever since. I've spent a lot of money, I've spent a lot of time, and I've made a ton of mistakes. And when I started doing this, I would research YouTube, Google. I mean, I'd look all that stuff up, and there just weren't a lot of people talking about like the absolute fundamentals of starting and getting started on a product. There's lots of people who just sort of breeze over things like, oh, and then I prototyped it, and then I got it patented, and just those sentences and just those words, there's so much to unpack there, and it just does not seem like anybody really takes the time to go through their personal journey with that. And that's kind of my goal. I want to go through the mistakes I've made, the money I spent that I didn't need to, and hopefully have someone learn from it, because I feel like it's really valuable. Look, I'll be the first to tell you I am not an expert on this subject, but I do have some real world experience that I think could be beneficial to a lot of people. There are just a lot of points that I don't see emphasized in other videos and in other articles that I've read that I think people really need to know before they go diving into pursuing their idea or their invention. So with that, let's dive into a couple of points I wanted to make in this video, and let's talk about some of these. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the question, is this really an original idea? Now, this may seem like a really dumb thing to bring up in a video like this, but it is absolutely primary in the process that the idea be fully vetted for originality. And the reason I emphasize this is because I've found, in me personally and in other people I've talked to that are inventors, it's really easy to put on blinders once you realize that you've come up with a really good idea. So what I mean by that is when you have your idea and you get attached to it and you see the potential in it, it's really easy to go on Google or to look under Google Patents or to search Amazon for that idea and sort of unintentionally overlook things that are really similar to your idea. It's sort of heartbreaking when you're looking through these search results and you come across the idea that you thought was going to make you a millionaire, and it's already out there and somebody's already made it. And you can absolutely lull yourself into a false sense of security by doing a quick Google search, assuring yourself that it's fine, and then moving on, and you're essentially just building a completely rotten foundation that's just going to cost you a ton of money later on. You need to go to page 25 or 30 of Google when you Google all the keywords, all the phrases, all the descriptors you can possibly imagine surrounding your idea. Amazon is great. You can go look on Amazon, but here's the ultimate thing. Just because it's not for sale and not on Google does not mean that it's not out there already. Google has this amazing whole section called Google Patents. And you can go on there, you can search by descriptors and keywords and whatever, and you can actually look and see if someone's, got patents on it. It's essentially a free patent search. Most of the patent attorneys I've talked to, they'll do patent searches, but ultimately they recommend most of the time that you just go look on Google Patents. Once you find something that's even similar to your idea, you can then click on additional patents that are related to that patent where you also might find your idea. And again, I just want to emphasize, don't put on blinders when you're looking for your idea. It's really easy to let that anxiety of finding your idea already out there absolutely sort of make you blind to the results that you really need to see. So first and foremost, Google everything, Amazon everything, Google patent search everything, and really don't be afraid to look hard for your idea out there. It will save you tons of time and money later on. Okay, so point number 2 or question number 2 is, which came first, the patent or the prototype? When I say I made mistakes along the way, I mean I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I'm going to spend a little time here outlining my journey because I think there are some really valuable lessons to be learned in it. And again, I'm going into this kind of detail because I just don't see this anywhere else. I hear a lot of people breezing over this process and then, I had an idea and I patented it and then I went into production, and that's just not how this works. So I'm going to go into some depth here about the steps that I took and the mistakes I made during the patenting prototyping phase, which is kind of this undefined kind of pain in the butt that you just got to go through. So I walked out into my garage one day. I had this idea for this product. I dove headfirst into it. I went out to my shop after I went and bought some metal stock from Home Depot. I welded this thing together. I brought it home. I tested it. I was like, that's cool. And I just went for it. And what that looked like for me was I Googled patent attorneys that were near me and called the first one up. And I got lucky because he ended up being an amazing patent attorney. But I went to him, and after I saw the prototype worked, I went ahead and had him get started on a full patent, like an actual patent filing. He went ahead and filed it. It's not an inexpensive process. I may keep a running tally down below of how much I've spent here, just to be super honest with you, just so you know what this is going to cost. As soon as he filed that patent, I took a 15-second video on my iPhone of the idea of the product, or the prototype rather. I posted it on Facebook, and within like 3 days, I had 5,000 views and a bunch of shares, and I knew I was onto something. Obviously, at that point, I needed to go put it into production. So I went to an engineering firm locally and took them the prototype, which was this big, bulky prototype. And I said, I need to have this engineered for mass production. I spent a bunch of money there. See the total down below, having them engineer it. And of course, when they got done engineering it, it was completely different than my prototype, which was the design on the patent. Well, the whole thing about having a patent is they want the best version of your product listed on the patent. Well, I didn't have that anymore. On my filing, it was my prototype, and now I had this new engineered monstrosity. So I went back and I filed a second patent, and that was also really expensive. So about the time I filed my second patent, my first patent got issued, but I didn't really need it anymore because that wasn't the form of the product. That wasn't the actual product that I was going to be going with. So essentially the first patent was sort of useless. And by this time I'd had my second patent filed. Well, moving forward, I came into contact with some really useful information. I talked to the CEO of a large company just by making cold calls. And the feedback I got was, yeah, that's great. And people like the idea, but they're never going to be able to buy it. It's too big. It's too bulky. You need to streamline it. So I went back to the drawing board and I did that. So my product does essentially the same thing that the big bulky rack does, but it's a smaller version of it. Well, guess what? Patent number 2, which got approved and issued, is now worthless. Did I learn from that? No, I did not learn from that. I went and I filed patent number 3 on my prototype of the smaller version. And you're starting to see a pattern here. And, you know what? I don't really feel foolish because I didn't know what else to do, and there was no way for me to know. But I'm going to tell you what actually what I should have actually done, and I'm hoping that saves you a ton of time and money. That's how I've ended up with 4 patents around this idea, 2 of which essentially are useful and 2 of which are not. I mean, that's tens of thousands of dollars worth of patents that I didn't need to invest in. Here's what you need to do. And again, this is just my opinion, but this is how I will do it on my next product. I'm sure by now you're familiar with provisional patents. If you're not, you need to go look them up. But a provisional patent is a wonderful thing, and here's why. You file your provisional patent before you make your prototype, after you make your prototype, whatever you want to do. It's cheap, and essentially it acts as a placeholder for 1 year. That 1 year is so absolutely valuable as an inventor, because even if you have a really simple product like mine is, you're going to want to iterate. You're going to make a prototype. You're going to look at it, you're going to test it out, and you're going to go, you know what? I want to make this change, and this change. And then the provisional that you filed, it's fine. It's not a big deal. That's cheap. You go file another provisional on the new design that you have. And you do that process until you get somewhere where your product can be put into mass production. And I'm going to go in later videos. I want to go into what I've learned about engineering firms, engineers, factories, all this other stuff. I mean, again, I started with no information and built this from the ground up, this sort of database of information I have. So every time you iterate your idea, you can file a new provisional. And this allows you to go speak with factories and speak with engineers without, being so afraid of being ripped off. I mean, that provisional is going to act as a placeholder at the U.S. Patent Office for your idea, which can then be used to file an actual patent filing at any time. Once you get your product to the point where it can be mass produced, that's the time to bust out your checkbook and actually file a real patent with the USPTO. Okay, well, that's all I've got for today. I hope this has been useful information for someone. I hope it saves someone some time and some money and some effort. I don't know if I'm going to make more videos. I don't know if anyone's even going to see this one, but if it has been useful, please leave a comment. And I'd really like to hear from you. So until next time, thanks.